This is the HERDLINE News.
Will Gronk play in 2019 or will he retire? We're all kind of on Gronk watch right now. Well, yesterday, Gronk's agent, Drew Rosenhaus, gave an update on the decision yesterday on ESPN.
I checked in. I talked to the Patriots about it. Right now, Rob is he's thinking it through. He's given it a lot of thought. Rob will certainly, I think, make a decision in the foreseeable future. I don't want to put any pressure on him and give him a time frame, but I would imagine that it will be sometime within the next couple of weeks.
I get the feeling like Gronk is tired of coming back from the injuries.
Yeah, same here.
He's a big, huge physical guy who's taken a lot of very hard hits because he is much bigger than most of the defenders that are trying to take him down.
Yeah.
He's a lot of major injuries.
He's an old 29 too, Joy.
Yeah.
He was hurt in college.
Because of his injuries.
Yeah.
He's an all-time great. He's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He's got his rings. I know that moving on from football is easier said than done because he is only 29 years old. But the tone that I felt from him after the Super Bowl was like, I'm really tired of coming back from injuries.
By the way, Elway did this. Elway could have played. Now Elway's like, I'm beat up. I made my money. I want a ring. Seacrest out. It feels like the perfect time to move.
Everyone thinks of Gronk as a party boy, but he's actually been very, very responsible with his money. He has not spent any of his salary money. He lives only off of endorsement money that he's gotten. And we kind of take for granted psychologically what it takes to come back from injuries as fans. Like, have you ever had a surgery of any kind?
No, I had a toothache a couple years ago.
Okay, so you've literally never had a surgery, like a knee or a shoulder or nothing.
It's awful.
I had an ACL injury, and it literally took a year off my life. I mean, you can't walk for months. Literally, you are on crutches, and then you have to teach yourself how to walk again. Now, imagine having to do that for your job. That's just like so I can get around and wear heels again.
Right.
It's psychologically a lot to come back from these injuries. It's painful. The therapy is worse than the surgery. So as many as he's had, I can see if he would be getting fatigued with that. So most of the NFL offseason's trade buzz has been centered around Antonio Brown, and you even think that the Packers should trade for him.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
What if instead they traded for Odell?
Either way, can we get Aaron Rodgers a world-class weapon? Even Brady got Moss for a couple years.
I know that Odell and Antonio Brown get kind of compared a lot, but I actually feel like Odell is less noisy than Antonio Brown, and I think he would be a better fit with Aaron Rodgers.
Well, my knock on Odell is he is a little fragile. I'm not saying he's injury-prone. I don't feel Antonio Brown's fragile.
No.
I think Odell's a little fragile. He's been hurt a couple, 2-3 times.
The other thing about Antonio Brown and Aaron that is interesting to me is we often compare Aaron Rodgers and Ben Roethlisberger personality-wise. And Antonio Brown seems to, his biggest beef with Pittsburgh seems to be Ben Roethlisberger.
No, I mean, it's a very good point that I've always said. People compare Aaron to Brady. Their personalities are completely different. Aaron is Ben. He's going to have opinions. He's got a strong point of view. He'll push back on... Most quarterbacks don't push back on coaches. Aaron and Ben push back on their coaches. And Aaron's got a healthy ego. Big Ben's got a healthy ego. They both can be kind of passive-aggressive. That's their DNA. And they're both unbelievable first-ballot Hall of Famers. So that's a great point that Antonio and Aaron, he could have the same problems. But remember, you're not asking Aaron Rodgers and Antonio to play together for 30 years. You play together for 2. It's amazing, and by the third year, maybe halfway through the season, you move off.
Well, that to me is, I feel like Aaron Rodgers is in sort of the LeBron state of his career right now.
Yes.
It's a win now in the next couple years situation for the Packers.
Yeah.
This is very urgent.
Yeah.
So I do agree with you that they do need to make a move and get him a weapon, a consistent weapon. And Antonio Brown and Odell have been in trade rumors. I just feel like Odell would be a better fit, especially considering the things that Antonio Brown's complaining about with the Steelers.
It's fun.
Finally, remember that January phone call that Kyrie Irving made to his former teammate LeBron?
Yeah.
Well, Kyrie told Rachel Nichols that call was crucial for him to move forward in his life.
I think that, it takes a very, very strong individual to, replay a lot of the experiences that you've had, a lot of anger that you had built up, that where you didn't address the situation and you allowed it to fester, and then it was just combustion. Like, it came out and it just, and then you realize, like, hey, man, I didn't have to deal with that the same way I dealt with that. Apologizing, that was a step for me just to move forward in my life.
Seems like they've made up.
Yeah, I still contend he's going to stay in Boston. I really do. I know everybody's talking New York. I think the media wants him to go to New York, and I get it.
I want him to go to New York.
Sure, I get it.
Listen, Boston, you've got plenty of pieces. You got good stuff going on. Let's get the Knicks back on the map again.
There was 5-6 NBA free agents, one move LeBron. Generally speaking, I think most players are like Giannis and Damian Lillard. They'd prefer not to move, and unless you get the ideal spot, most players are not as aspirational as MJ and LeBron. They're not.
I agree with that. I mean, we should never assume that anyway. Everyone has a different personality and desires and is motivated by different things. Everyone wants to win, but at what cost also?
Yeah.
And we have to take into consideration as well that when you move teams, you also move with expectations.
Thank you.
If you look at the magnitude that the NBA free agency period has become, if you are a free agent like Kyrie or KD or LeBron or really any of these guys that are in the top 20 free agents, wherever you go, you're going to have an expectation to deliver. By the way, all these baseball guys that sign these $300 million contracts and $200 million contracts, you ever notice their first year they struggle? Because baseball is such a mental game. It gets into their head. Giancarlo Stanton, A-Rod. If you go look at the big contract guy, that is something that is very Albert Pujols had a really bad beginning. So to your point, once you're the star and get the money and the fame, there's a lot of pressure. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd.